Okay, welcome back. And our guest this morning, Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, DG International Institute of Professional Security, and in studio, Seyi Adetayo, Security and Intelligence expert. Thank you both, gentlemen, for coming on the program to sort of giving us perspective on the terror alert put out by the U.S. Embassy in the first instance, but has since been followed by other, I think the UK and maybe the Europeans as well. And we've just been we've been hearing how, well, from their point of view, this is their responsibility to register their registered citizens within the country. Experts, look at the papers this morning, are urging the federal government to tighten security around soft targets. Tony Ofoyetan spoke about that earlier. Now, Tony, coming back to you now, the situation that we have on our hands here, you can also throw in, I think, Seyi has just alluded to it, the fact that we're in an election season. And then there's also this whole matter about the biting inflation that we have on our hands. So Nigerians are not finding it very comfortable at all. And this is the last thing that they want to hear, but now they've gone and heard it, that there's an imminent danger. How comfortable are you about this? I'm not saying that we should be irresponsible in any way, shape, or form, but it's been observed that in the past 2-3 years or so, all these advisories have not come to pass.
Well, thank you very much. Let me start by saying that the issue of economic bite, and that's without prejudice to whether the government has done well or not. Presently, it's a global phenomenon. It's not just domiciled in Nigeria alone. The Western world are having their own fair share of it. But I think that ours is basically that of maybe some level of policy mishap, let me put it that way, on the part of the government. And having said so, yes, of course, the natural survival instinct of man is there that would want to make him to survive anyhow. The security challenge with respect to the election is not unusual. And I don't see this election coming as one major issue that will bring any major security challenge. I think I may differ with respect to those that may be expecting some level of violence and all. For me, the little I've seen about this election, it is most probably going to be peaceful. Yes, and for the leader of the IPOB that is incarceration, I agree with my friend in the studio there that yes, the tendency that there may be some level of protest, let me put it like that, if Kano is not released as at when due, is a possibility. It's a possibility, and we know that the DSS will definitely not overlook that possibility. Don't forget the time of El Zazaki too. They had their fair share of, in short, incessant and unabated riots and protests and the like. So I don't expect that IPOP will be different, but I expect that it may not be as momentum and as forthcoming, especially in Abuja, compared to that of El Zazaki, basically because of proximity. Because if you look at what happened in protest, proximity determines the volume of people that will definitely be involved in the protest. So we're talking about the southeast, which is relatively further compared to what happened to El Zazaki, which was just a stone thrown to Abuja.
Okay.
But definitely there would be such reaction if the DSS is not handling it with the level of intelligence and fairness that we expect from them.
Okay, Tony, 1 second, please. I beg your pardon, Tony. 1 second. Let me bring in Mr. George now. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Yori, and greetings to your guests.
Yes, thank you.
Uncle Yori, the travel advisories that we often hear these advanced countries give, I begin to wonder what the purpose really is. Is it to help us to address security issues, or just to alarm people, or just to make their own citizens safe? The purpose I cannot just define. I don't expect confirm that they should make it public. We want to communicate with your embassy staff. Can't you write to them? Can't you call them? Must it be broadcast in our media houses for other Nigerians to panic? So the purpose is what I'm questioning.
Okay.
They should help us if they want to help us, but they should not create alarm around us. That's just my view.
But it's been explained. I don't know if you caught it. It's been explained that the procedure is that these consuls speak to the registered citizens within our land. Now, because some of them, there are Nigerian Americans, there are Nigerian Britons, those would now share it. And perhaps that's how it got to the press, as opposed to they themselves sending out a press release. That much has been said, you know.
No, but we always hear it in the media. It has never been kept secret. Why is it that other things they do are not exposed to the public like that?
They are not the one that
Okay.
They have other administrative issues in their various embassies. Why don't we know about such things? Why must it be only this security aspect? We have challenges. Let them allow us to address it if they cannot help us.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. George. But the point is, the mainstream media picked it up. Whether it was leakage or not, everybody, television, radio, newspapers, were now reporting the American
We are actually
advisory.
the one making issues out of it.
I see.
I've seen the one from the Australian High Commission too.
Exactly. They've added their
European
own.
Union, everyone, they are doing that. It's just like, a bandwagon effect. And ordinarily, if we don't, stop seeing whatever comes from them as if the gods have spoken, then we'll be able to live. We also issue as well. There was a time through Adetayo, we advise our citizens from going to certain country close to Turkey that they are killing our people. And it's not only Nigerians that picked that. West African, black African countries, immediately after Nigeria put it out there, they also started advising their own people. So it's like, it's a nation's responsibilities to its own people. And it's left to how we, assess those things. But, this one came at a time when, already we know that we are expecting that there is likelihood, or some activities around that. So it's not because, something really, really credible, but, there's that palpable fear right there in the space, and everybody is just trying to lash and say, we're afraid of.
And everybody's sort of saying that, look, America is good in this, so let's go with what they found. Which is
they are not the best. And also, and I need to make this clear, no country in the world can speak to Nigeria issue like our intelligence and security side. They don't know 1/10 of what our own people know. Okay. They only have it piecemeal.
Okay.
So Nigerians need to understand this.
Okay. That we have good intelligence.
We understand our town more than any intelligence. US cannot boast that they know Nigeria more than our intelligence service.
Mazi Okorafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Yori. Good morning, our guests in the studio and the sky. Mazi Okorafo. This security alert they are telling Nigeria is something that when we hear anything about alert, we run over it. So we'll take it serious or we'll not take it serious. We saw what happened last time when they told us about the alert. Before they talk about it, it was the jailbreak. Now, issue is this. What is happening now in Sudan and Chad? I still remember some of us, although they are now Dickens. When they were going, they were told not to follow Chad. They have to come back, follow Cross River, follow Cameroon back to the school. Now, Chad has a problem. Chad is just saying the same boundaries. And Sudan, the same thing. Now, most of these boys, they are migrated. We should overlook all these issues because any country within Nigeria, when they pursue them from there, they just join business here. Because they feel that in Nigeria, when you come down here, you make your money. In their pay, they don't make money. Now, schools. This is a warning to federal government schools, to federal government and state schools. You don't go and close schools. University at Dublin. Let me give you an example of what happened. Last week, Wednesday, some students were going back to Nnamdi. One of our brother was going for a meeting at Oboluku in the data set. They were inside the bus. The judge, according to the report, the brother that took them to the park, he suspected 3 people inside that bus that these people are not part and parcel of Nigeria. At the end of the day, that bus was what? They kidnapped everybody in that bus. As of today, as of yesterday night, even when I was at this, they said that the people have contacted the owner of the bus. I don't want to mention the name of the bus, that they should bring 12 million. Now, and they were told to bring 12 million. They said that they have 12 million. That's what the owner of the bus told them, but said that they make it to be 25 million. All these people are part and parcel of the Nigerian system. We should overlook it. So that is why they said that now the industries have started reopening. The soccer section by next month or end of they will start the exams. There is need for higher institutions not to close schools. Let's say, for example, those of them in SS3, they are writing WAEC exam. WAEC exam, there are 5 countries that write the exam. Whether your country is running out of security, it doesn't concern you. The exam must hold by May next year. So it should not be closed. What the school should do now is communities, universities, polytechnics, education, they should provide security by themselves, back up with the normal security network and vigilantes. Parents should be part and parcel of this security network. If they to tax parents to pay the money, they should do that. There are young men and women who are ready to do this job. Let us not be complaining that look, they are not, it's just like a forecast, it's just like a prophecy. But at the end of the day, we pocket it as if it's nothing. At the end of the day.
Okay, well, thank you, Mazio Okora, for Dr. Tony Ofoyetan. Back to the point of intelligence sharing. And look, when the UK, when the US, European Union, when they put out findings of their own intelligence apparatus, people tend to go with it. You know, the idea being that they've been doing this for quite a long time. They've been doing this on a global scale. But, you know, as Seyi was just saying in here, no security professional is going to contradict the fact that Nigeria has very good intelligence, and it's not easy for an outsider to know the intelligence landscape as our people do. But nevertheless, be that as it is, the Nigeria police are not taking this for granted, so they say. And so they are going to, I think everybody's sort of moving into the position of, yeah, we hear this. It's not as if we didn't know anything, but we hear this. And just because of the public, by the way, there is this Darkin Gagawa, not that that means anything to me, it might to you guys who are professionals, but it's a security operation. Your commentary on that, look, we shouldn't belittle Nigeria's intelligence capabilities.
Yes, you can't, you know, nobody can know you as much as you know yourself, because intelligence operates in different forms, and understanding the language itself is also another thing. There are intelligence that are domestic. So I agree with Seyi to that extent that yes, and I must also say, even though I'm not a DSS officer, and I've moved severally with many of them, that look, the DSS as an organization, they have robust intelligence network. That one is not a doubt in terms of personnel, in terms of information gathering, in terms of processing the information. But the problem is always at the level of the execution. And that is the most important thing. And because it is the execution that determines the result. And results are always very overt, not covert. So if you are talking about effective intelligence network, an intelligence that is put to use, and people will see it, people will acknowledge it. Now, over time, because there have been failure in use of intelligence, and that is why we keep seeing a reoccurrence of some of these security challenges. And that is what is actually impeding on the integrity of the information that we are getting from some of these security agencies. If they have stood their ground, and those security agencies that ought to use the information are in one way or the other compelled to use the information or the intelligence, and those that did not use the intelligence are, there's a consequence attached to it. It would have built up the integrity of the DSS and the intelligence agency. But in most cases, when DSS gets information, and it is maybe the custom or the army or the police that are expected to execute that intelligence, and it goes like that, and we now have casualties. Now the blame comes back to DSS. But what, for me, I think DSS should have been able to put mechanism in process in such a manner that will make either the National Assembly or the president to compel that officer or that department that did not use that intelligence to be disciplined. And number one of such is that should either resign or leave that office if it is established that you are given intelligence and you did not use it as at when due, because all intelligence are time bound. Intelligence is not a product of administrative protocol. Once you get information and the information is verified and authentic, you are expected to spring into action immediately. So the fallout of all this, it will come as a backlash on DSS. And then once it comes out as a backlash, it will also impede on further and future intelligence that are going to be rolled out. And that is why you see Nigerians coming to believe more in CIA, in FBI, in American embassy, and all foreign missions reports, which are not necessarily the finality of intelligence. But because over time, internally, we have not been able to put our house in order.
Okay.
And we are not putting our house in order because heads are not rolling. Once there's casualty, I'm sure you know of what happened in the jailbreak issue. I'm sure of now what you know what happened in the trade. A lot of information and intelligence has been given out. It is later on that DSS will come and say, we gave this information 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 months earlier, and nothing was done about it. And what could the DSS do? The DSS will not be able to do anything. The presidency is not doing anything. At the end of the day, we'll just let it go. Now, when an embassy now come and tell you that something is going to happen, what will you do? You will believe it. You will see it as being more authentic. And that is where, to me, I see that the security agencies are not getting it right. Once they are able to put their house in order at that level, we will believe more in ourselves, because I guess there's none of this government that can have the type of information we have. Another thing is that, you see, when it comes to information sharing and all those, I agree when Seyi said that, yes, it is an information disseminated to their own citizens in the country. But the content itself is what we are talking about. Now, there are some of this content that you know, even though you know that you are talking to your people, you know eventually, because over time there are avalanche of precedents to show that this thing is going to end on the table of the public. Now, if you know it's going to end on the table of the public, what should be? There are different ways to do it.
I hear you, Tony. I get you.
Different communication channels.
Can I
Thank you.
Okay. Tony, I don't know. First of all, we appreciate you. We knew you just flew in, and you've actually not got home.
I'm even surprised that
you just flown in from the US. I don't know if we should keep to the understanding that we'll let you go early or you'll stay on with us, because I wanted Seyi to react to that.
No problem. I'm okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. Yeah.
See, let me say this. June, July, it's a rainy season in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. So for someone to say, oh, I'm a prophet, I want to tell you that tomorrow is going to rain, this week is going to rain. It's definitely going to rain in June.
Oh, okay.
Because you are in the peak of the rainy season. So that is all about that alert. Nothing important other than what we already know.
Yes.
We've been receiving, Senator Oba was attacked, Pastor Sulaiman was attacked. We're going through situations in Nigeria that we know that every day, one incident. So for someone to say, oh, something will happen, we know something will definitely happen.
It might happen, yeah.
So when rainy season, we know it's going to rain. I want to establish that point. Then the second aspect is this. September 11 happened not because there was no intelligence. FBI had information differently. That was what led to the creation of Department of Home Security in the U.S. to ensure that they don't experience another September 11. And that is not to say that there was no other attacks. After we had the Boston Marathon attacks, the New York Times Square bomb, and several others in the U.S. afterwards. So the fact that you have intelligence does not mean that the content of the intelligence can prevent an attack. The whole essence of intelligence is for you to know.
Yes.
There are some things that even you have intelligence that this might happen,
you can't do
does
anything
not
about
mean
it.
that you can stop it. But it can prepare so that you can respond immediately it happened better than when you are unaware, or you can reduce the impact of it when it happens. You see,
because this comes back to the capability of
exactly.
the environment itself.
See, and a will-be attacker has the freedom of choice of targets, and that's where when people, we have this lot of analysts that will come up when issue happen. People have become expert overnight and say, oh, they should build fences around the school. I said, how many fences are you going to build around school because they're attacking schools? Even if you put 2 trucks of police e-logs in front of a school, they want to attack that school, they will attack. People that are coming with a motorcycle of 200, the e-logs, those in the e-logs will see them and run away and leave the school the way it was, and they will carry the children. We have to deal with this issue at its root, and that's what is happening right now. It will take us time for us to come out of this muddy water, but we need to understand, and that's why education is important. For those that will come on TV to talk about this, they must also have understanding of what they have they're on TV to talk about. Nowhere in the world has any country been able to successfully take care of terror 100%. In the UK, several cases slipped through their fingers. Terror attacks on the bridge, in the parliament, everywhere.
So are you saying this is sort of too much in the sense that it could be troubling to the citizenry of Nigeria itself, or that we should take this and, because the advisory says, don't go to Abuja. He said it in fine diplomatic language.
They have been writing about 5 years ago, it was about 17 states in the country. There was a time during the Niger Delta, it was almost all the states in the south region. You see, for anyone that has been following through this, you know that U.S. will always list some parts of Nigeria as a no-go area.
Tony, a last word from you. Given that none of these terror alerts, well, when I say none of this, I don't mean to be dismissive. Shall we say, thankfully, they haven't happened. But this probably says to us, we need to take some of those things. If you're not in Abuja anyway, and you are planning on going to Abuja, what would be what you say against, on top of what they have said? Because they're advising their citizens, not us, their citizens to reconsider. But where they here, Uncle?
Well, we are not running anywhere. This is our country. And I'm not sure that any terrorist will take our country from us. The only thing is that as an individual, when you travel, make sure that you, if you don't have any reason to be somewhere, don't be there. That is the first thing. And if you have to be in a crowded place, if you have to be in a government facility, put yourself in a vantage position.
Okay.
Avoid nocturnal movement, of course. Avoid crowded movement as much as you can. And if you have to communicate in public, make sure that your communication are coded, and also make sure that you don't divulge your movement in any way whatsoever. Use your instinct. Use your intelligence quotients as much as you can. And of course, I hope we are together. Yes.
Yes.
So
I was going to say, Tony, that we're going to have to leave it here. I was just going to say when you took that breath that we're going to have to leave it here. But thank you very much. Traveling and all, you still managed to keep us safe. Thank you very much. Welcome back home. And Seyi,
it's my pleasure.
Thank you also very much for the insight you put into it and the perspective you put on top of it. Hopefully, people understand how it came about, and also the police, they're not taking anything for granted. They also say, but you've also pointed out that this Darakin Gagawa, you are very sure that it is not as a direct result of this. They've been planning this
Look
before.
at the people there. They've mobilized those personnel for training long before now.
Okay.
So it's not a knee-jerk reaction.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Seyi Adetayo, security and intelligence expert, as we also thank our friend, Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, DG International Institute of Professional Security. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.